Trundle is actually going to be the ban here. So I think they want to go Ornn blind is kind of the option.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to go Ornn, baby, and
Well,
there we go. It's actually 100 Thieves that can beat them too.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though, because then you end up a little bit like helping them out in that way. I mean, unless you were really willing to take Trundle to top, it doesn't really matter. But we'll see what the pairing is going to be. You know, if they do go something like the volley, this would be really interesting. I mean, there are a number of solo queue answers to tanks. Mordekaiser is one of them, but for the most part, people have just been going towards, you know, Aatrox and some of the more kind of safe standard things that are effective in pro play.
Yeah, Mord is pretty interesting too in that it's a different way to counter, you know, and ult him when he ults for a team fight.
Yeah.
But you do also have to get really close. So positioning can sometimes be really hard with that counter as well.
Well, we do see that Leona you guys were talking about locked in for Vulcan. We were expecting to see this. Locking in it on forward gives you more time to think about what you want.
Oh, he's going for it.
Specifically.
Yes!
And there it is, the Master of Metal.
Okay, so again, in the same vein of Aatrox, Conqueror stacking, lots of leech topside, just murder this tank, but also for the team fights, Mordekaiser Ultimate completely will disrupt the 5-on-5.
It's really, really interesting because you have a lot of options. I mean, as you said, you can try to use it on Ornn when he pops his ulti, you know, take him away from being able to get that engage, but also even just getting it down onto someone like FBI, if he doesn't have red-white, that's a very hard 1v1 to win, and sometimes even just removing the carry from the 5v5 can get your team that win.
And I want to say, they don't have to 5-on-5. Mordekaiser is oftentimes best suited in 1-3-1 comps, and especially if you have Ryze. EG have very strong possibilities of 1-3-1. As long as you get Mordekaiser off to a good early start, you can easily ult anyone who comes to gank you and then kill them, take their stats, and 2v1 basically in the outcome. So spread map, also a very good option here for EG. They've actually diversified a little bit in their game plan.
And it's really effective playing around dragons. If you want to try to stack dragons, you can ult closer, deny the possibility of a smite off there, you know, be able to secure those. He takes neutral objectives very quickly with that burn from his passive. It's going to be a really interesting game. Very different look for EG.
I will say pre-6 for sure, super vulnerable to ganks though, especially with something that is fast clearing.
Well, here we go. Can 100 Thieves solve the problems of game number 1 and tie us up, or is it EG moving to match point? All right, gentlemen, game number 1, we saw the kill bottom lane in the 2v2 for the first blood. Where are we expecting to see all the action nice and early here in our second battle?
Level 1, baby, right in front of you. I want to see a deep level 1 invade. Graves is a farm-oriented jungler, always looking for vision on enemy camps so you can steal those camps away. Let's see how much this Graves can punish the Jarvan. They're two very extremely different types of jungles. Graves, permanently trying to counter jungle you, take away camps. Jarvan looking to influence those lanes. Much more powerful ganks possible from the Jarvan. And there you go. They got their early ward from Abba. I love this coordination. He just scales up with the distortion. Distortion over, gets the safe trinket ward. They know where Jarvan will start. This does two things. You reduce the scariness of the early Jarvan gank. It also gives Closer the ability to try and set up his route for punishing camps optimally.
Also worth noting, Inspired, you know, going away from the spellbook this game, going towards Conqueror, maybe feels it's going to be a little bit more of a scrappy game here, more extended fights. You know, if you are scrapping with the Graves and the Ornn and these types of champions, that Conqueror can be very effective.
And it also isn't required, it doesn't give you as much of the make sure you protect the president thing as the Summoner spellbook, right? Like you were talking about the power of having an extra exhaust or a heal or something. This doesn't look to me like as much of a it's all about Jinx comp as last time.
Exactly, and I mean Danny's going to go the lethality build. You're tipped on that with the area, of course. So it's not going to be as much of that 1v9 style where he can just punch through everyone on his own. You know, lethality Xayah does need help to get through champions like Ornn, like Nautilus. You need damage coming from other sources, as you're alluding to.
It actually gets a lot of armor penetration really early, though. I was talking to Freak about this, kind of a misconception, because you get your Shrelias really early with that champion, is actually pretty good at penetrating armor.
Okay, bottom side, Remember, game number 1, it got spicy real fast down here. It's Danny and Vulcan with control over the push, control over the lane here right now. Hoodie and FBI hanging back underneath the turret. Impact and Someday. Important to remember what you guys were talking about earlier, saying how the Mordekaiser is vulnerable early on. Like, this is a champion that you can gank before level 6. He doesn't have the ability to turn it around that well. So I do want to watch and see what Closer does there, as Vulcan gets jumped on a little bit down here, but not a whole lot of follow-up just yet. Loses a little bit of extra HP to the snipe at the back end, but both junglers are pathing towards this bottom lane.
And you can see what Inspire's doing here. They know that there's the ward on their red because they saw the LeBlanc for the split second in the level 1 opening. And so he's just going to full clear from his top side down and not leave his camps vulnerable to the Graves for that counter jungling. So he's not wasting any time. Just a smooth full clear here for the Jarvan as the bottom lanes keep it spicy.
Yeah, and the red gun is about to expire, so FBI, gonna have to start chugging through these potions here, trying to heal back up as this lethality is very, very pokey in the early levels. Of course, you go Aerie, sometimes you go Scorch, sometimes they are just going Gathering Storm instead, but either way, the Q poke here, you get one auto, you pull back with the E, you have the root with that on the 3 feathers. It is very dangerous and can be pretty oppressive in laning phase.
Well, we're gonna see Evil Genius's bottom lane now backing away from the lane itself, roaming up towards mid.
As we see Closer as well transition here to his reverse clear because he did skip his Krugs, clears the bottom side, heads back up towards his pushing Ornn. I want to shout out the new Graves build on live because it is so insanely powerful. On live with the buffed Umbral Glaive, you go full lethality, Dark Harvest Graves with Umbral Glaive Rush. It's so cheap. You can clear the wards much more quickly, and your burst damage is insane.
Spotted. He used his distort.
Abbedagga has used his mobility, and here comes the Jarvan. Abbedagga forced to flash away to get away from that.
So that one looked a little bit discoordinated, but I think the thing is, Inspired uses Flag and Drag to get into the brush to dodge vision, so I don't believe he had the cooldown up until he used it at the very end.
Okay.
So Jojo actually needed to wait a little bit there, I think, on the Rune Prison. But it was a nice gank attempt, going over the wall there, circumventing that ward that he just now passed.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the only reason for that delay, because otherwise you instantly want to get out there with the Rune Prison. So we'll have to take a look in possibly the POV from Inspired to get the cooldown on his combination there. Maybe a little bit of time there lost between the communication with Jojo.
Well, Jojo has used his teleport to get back into lane now. Up in top side, Mordekaiser whooping on tanks exactly like you drafted for.
Exactly, and if you don't gank him, then guess what? The Conqueror sustained monster is going to abuse your tank and push him in. So now we start to see it. Someday still is playing it quite well. He's trading his health early on. He still has his teleport. So Ornn has been able to focus on the CS. He's not down in CS, although he is being forced to recall, and he's going to be the first one to use his teleport. It's not too detrimental. You get your Bomby Cinder for the wave clear control early on to actually be able to deal with some of the setup for those dives that they could pull off too.
And one of the difficult things, though, from the Ornn side of the matchup is that you're often taxed more on the mana because Mordekaiser is resourceless. If he's constantly trading with you, you end up having to use your mana to trade back, and if you run you are going to get punished very, very heavily. More just TPing straight back to lane here, working towards that Leeching Leer, almost guaranteed. That is what we're going to see. You do sometimes see Rocket Belt for the additional mobility if you're trying to actually, get more into the backline as Mordekaiser. But I am expecting, with Conqueror, early Leeching Leer, get that sustained and get yourself through laning phase.
All right, we got a lot of bodies hanging out around the bottom side here. Junglers are both showing up just to make sure nobody's up to anything on the other side. Control ward placed in the pit there by the side of 100 Thieves, but as you can see, the Evil Genius's Drake Pit ward is not being disabled by that. It's outside of the disable range of that ward. So that means that Inspired's able to walk in there. He can clear out the control ward. Vulcan and Danny now up into the river, taking back control over this area for the side of EG. Neither side finding a huge advantage here just yet in this early game for themselves. And Abbedagga's trying to clear out some of the vision that Jojo's got set up too, but Jojo's got buddies on the other side of the river. Unfortunately, not enough mana to do a whole lot.
And Abba has a rush for those Mercury Treads. Even though the jungle is attack damaged, getting that tenacity to get out of a Rune Prison a little bit early so they can't combo you is really big. If you look to LeBlanc players, the most successful LeBlanc players are always when you draft this champion versus teams that do not have point-and-click CC for you later in the game. So you can actually use it as a pseudo-poke champion, going in for your combos and jumping out quickly.
And when you're going up against Ryze, what they attempted earlier, especially because he's down his flash, it would be so easy to pull off. Tenacity going to be very important to be able to do that. Is going to push in, deny a little bit of these minions, from JoJo. Yeah, the laning phase early on going quite well for Abadaga, who's basically had perfect farm. When you're at 10 CS per minute at 7 minutes, like, you've missed nothing. Pretty much.
You've been having a really good early game at that point in time. Some days still just getting familiar with the sights, sounds, and smells of being underneath the tier 1 turret, because that's about all that Ornn gets to see here in this lane unless Closer shows up and is able to help him out a little.
I mean, it's tough because even if Closer shows up, like, he has swapped over to the Spellbook Ignite, so you say, all right, call up your jungler, drop the ulti, drop the Ignite. Well, he's just going to ult you and then actually win that 1v1. So that's where it gets very, very tough. Yeah. When you get nothing done pre-6, you're kind of just on your own as a tank matchup into the Ornn.
That's why I'm actually really excited that we have seen this really long journey that every team has taken through playoffs and trying to come up with counters to blind pick Ornn. First game, we saw the attempt with the Aatrox and the Trundle pick in combination, still unable to really have that big influence. And now we get to see the Mordekaiser displayed on stage. The lane is one thing, but also the ults for later towards the groupings are going to be very big. And you get to be this really unstoppable split push force that requires multiple people to be sent his way, but then he could just ult one of the gankers, not only buying time, but also being able to threaten easy counter kills.
And Impact is one of these guys that in the past has brought out niche picks. I think back to Singed at Worlds, him bringing that out when that was much less meta. Mordekaiser, very similar idea here. Something that is really fitting his playstyle, and he's very comfortable doing.
Yeah, I'd say already, Impact is good for one.
Oh, but that's double summoner spells here for FBI in the bottom lane, but now it might just turn into something here at mid. Abadaga tries to start something up, but JoJo's able to walk away. Lots of manpower here from 100 Thieves, though.
And pay attention to the bottom lane roam. This is double roam here from the EG bottom lane. They're moving up towards the Rift Herald, so they're leaving for 100 Thieves. FBI, no summoner spells down on the bottom side. He's recalling, actually, so the play attempt towards Herald has been called off.
All right, now 100 Thieves rotating that support along with the jungler up in the top side here. The important part is whoever gets ulted by the Mordekaiser has to be able to survive in there. Someday, summoning up the Ornhorn, looking to throw him up into the air, but Impact has selected who he has the target. He'll go after him. This will last about 7 seconds, who he's able to get himself away. Impact walking down towards Inspired, looking to still try to get something, but it's first blood over to Closer. He'll grab that one and still get himself away. Inspired's gonna be hooked back in, and Someday's ready to follow up. That's 2-0, 100 Thieves.
That's massive for 100 Thieves, and Abadaga was able to stop JoJo Pyun from making the Realm Warp. JoJo Pyun was on the move there, trying to get in on that play, but Abadaga stopped him in his tracks.
Yep, not enough reinforcements there for Impact. He bought the time. He got the ult off. Huhi, though, really good evasive maneuvers. When you're the one that gets flashed on and ulted by Mordekaiser, you have to have your flash ready. He hooks into the wall, uses his flash to buy that time. He survives, doesn't go down within the death realm. And then with that interrupt, the numbers advantage means everything.
And part of the problem is, he just used his E, he just used his Q, so he doesn't have his full spells. He flashes to close distance, but you have no E to actually close the gap. So yes, he lands the Q, but his passive is slow to come up. He hooks to the wall, he roots you after, then the ulti as he's coming out. It was very well played by Huhi.
Exactly. Send 3 with the tanky support over there. CC ready. They lock him up. They get their kill on yet another attempt at countering Ornn.
Very, very well done from 100 Thieves. They earned themselves a 1,000 gold lead here 11 minutes in with it. Still no Drakes on the board for either side. No focus on that nice and early. We see this happen sometimes when Cloud Drake is the first one. It doesn't give you a super valuable reward here very early on, so they're willing to let that go, not prioritize it. Scuttle Crab spawning up here in the bottom side river. Closer's able to take that one before EG can challenge him for it.
With EG now hovering back down towards this bottom side, I'll be interested to see if they actually do want to start up the Dragon now. Danny has the push. He's working away on these plates. JoJo's hovering in this bot side river, and Inspired is in the area as well. So at the very least, they're going to try to clear out some vision, continue to cover Danny on this push. He's completed his early mythic. He is ahead of FBI at this point. So yes, Impact does get killed off, but their bot laner still doing well.
No dragon stacking yet either, though, so this game going a lot slower, a lot less pressure on the pace of that Dragon Soul very far out in the future. So it's going to be more about grabbing the gold off of these turret plates in the remaining minutes. Approaching 12 minutes here, have 2 more minutes to work on these, and that's where you really want to influence some of these winning lanes. Get the most out of it before those disappear.
And we're talking about no dragons on the board yet. Well, hey, the Rift Herald's still hanging out in the pit too. If they get that one, it'll be have to be a fast turnaround to summon that up and get plate value off of it.
I want to shout out again. So Closer did go that Umbral Glaive build that I'm talking about. Pretty sure we're still not on the buffed live patch for this, but it is so popular on live. And you have huge burst damage as this version of Graves, but you don't have the sustain of the Graves that you're used to seeing in previous patches, you know, with Conquer and stacking up and or the Fleet Footwork versions even. And so it's a lot about this huge upfront burst.
Yeah, and the backline access can be very powerful, or an ulti.
Okay, Impact going into the Death Realm against Someday, but 100 Thieves have plenty of backup as long as Someday is able to survive long enough, but he can't do it! EG's on the board, and who he's going to be your next target. He buys time with the stasis, should be able to get away from this one. 200 HP remaining, Impact walking it off now as well. So many people in this fight, but it's just the single kill for EG.
Impact's good for one, baby. I said it before. I'm probably going to say it again. It is the chant of Mordekaiser. He always looks for these counter kills, gets it this time around. With the extra defense from his team arriving, they also can get him out. And Abadaga flashes for the distortion just Q there on LeBlanc, really reaching, giving him over more summer spell cooldowns.
Yeah, and this time he got that ulti off before he'd used a single spell, so it's the passive is up on that first auto because he hit the E, he hit the Q, and he is just knocking through Someday with that isolated Q. Comes out, the passive is active, and he wasn't even forced to use his W, so survives the burst.
And critical, he cast his Q as the Ram was coming through. So even though he gets knocked up by the Ornn ultimate from Someday, the Ram, he guarantees hitting that isolated Q, guarantees the damage, gets the kill.
And now it's 100 Thieves back out into the neutral territory, out into the river. They'll be able to claim this Rift Herald for themselves. EG not doing a whole lot about it. FTX Total Gold on the left side of your screen says Closer's the richest man on the Rift right about now. The Graves has plenty of money thanks to the kill, thanks to the assist. Second serrated Dirk up and running, working towards what I would guess is the Eclipse here after the Umbral Glaive.
Yeah, for sure. It's looking like he has the Vamp, he has the serrated Dirk, and he even has more farm, or had more farm a second ago than FBI. You know, this guy has been power farming, absolutely. Has even picked up a little bit of the lane minions, so he is off to the races, and Graves can act as that secondary carry here, you know, with they have that defense of the Nautilus, of the Ornn, they have a big front line, and they have double marksman.
And just because I love these types of new jungle...
they're going to look for a play here.
Jungle techs, I'll talk about a little bit more later as JoJo gets slowed.
Or bot. They're going to go Dragon, I guess.
Yeah, TP is coming in, but who he's starting the fight, they are going in on Vulcan. The Leona is the target. Oftentimes, this can get turned around into a bad situation. Vulcan's still at about half HP. Closer tries to get away, but Impact chases him down. Danny goes up into the air as the feathers fly. JoJo's got the kill to Abadaga. Evil geniuses are slaughtering 100 Thieves. 4 for nothing.
Impact drops the hammer on 100 Thieves, taking down Closer, pushing back FBI, a one-man army from the top lane. This guy is on fire.
What can the evil geniuses do? They're also going to pick up the dragon in the aftermath. Look at this Rockcat flip the switch replay, and all started out on Vulcan. So much here from 100 Thieves. Used in on the Leona, and Impact teleports in. He's there in the back lines, right behind Closer. This squishy Graves, yes, you've got a full lethality build, but what can it do in the face of the mace? Impact takes him down, he steals his stats, and then chases off FBI as well. Danny's able to clean up the rest of the kills in the river, but really, the microscope should be on Impact, the veteran of the team. Grandpa or not, this man is bringing it home.
He's bringing the heat, and they're going to get the dragon off the back of that as well. Look at the damage he put out. Q flash to finish off Closer. Abadaga not able to get involved in that one hardly at all. And Impact is going to be a problem. Mordekaiser from ahead. The amount of sustain between the Riftmaker, your W passive shield, when you start to get a lot of HP in there, likely going to go Demonic Embrace second is my expectation. It's hard to take this guy down.
And I feel like every time I see a team start a fight engaging on Leona, a Nautilus Q into a Nautilus ulti on Leona with W active. I can't help but just start to grab my hair and remove it from my head because it's so easy for her to turn that around if the team is close.
And I want to, shout out the ward there that Impact teleported on, because that ward placement and teleporting behind them, that is everything for them. So props to Vulcan here in the setup to allow the team to shine.
Whoa, that
Jojo's far out.
Jojo going for the Everfrost, but he doesn't find it. Instead, it's going to be Abadaga finding Jojo. There's the follow-up. Who he finds the mid laner, but the stasis turns the play around. 1 kill already. Will it be 2? Abadaga barely getting himself away, but Inspired's got him with the burn, and it's another flawless fight for the Evil Geniuses.
EG are on a roll. Can anyone stop these guys? They're going to get the tier 2. They're pushing on top side as well.
And mid lane, they are winning the entire map right now. They're able to push up both other lanes. They get the tower here on bottom side of the map. Evil Geniuses have done it again.
This gold lead is becoming such a concern. 400 Thieves, yes, they have the Ornn, yes, they have the Aphelios, they do have scaling, but as we watch this again, it's a play that they are trying to set off here on Jojo, because Abadaga at the bottom of your screen has the wraparound. Jojo doesn't know he's there, so he waits, he lands the chains, they come in looking for the play, but the stopwatch and EG are there to bail him out.
Exactly, buying time for the rest of the team to get there, and then Inspired with the EQ in on Huhi, they just burst him down and chase off the rest of the squad here. Conqueror swap there.
Oh, those minions!
Oh, it was?
Minions actually killed him.
It was. I thought it was a red burn or something.
A revenge of the minions!
Oh my goodness.
Even the Evil Genius minions are built different.
4,000 gold lead, 18.5 minutes in. Rift Herald summoned up, doesn't accomplish a whole lot here in the mid lane. Evil Genius is pushing as 4. Tier 1 turret barely standing. That one's out of the picture. Welcome to a nearly 5K lead.
It's a stop.
Not even 20 minutes in.
We've created a monster in the lower bracket. The Evil Geniuses are absolutely tearing through the entire LCS.
Live evil, man.
Impact's about to tear through another turret. That'll bring this up to a 4-0 objective lead in that department, and 100 Thieves just cannot find a response.
People keep mentioning the old gods of the LCS are gone. They're nowhere to be found now in Houston. Well, all hail the new gods here. EG, 5.1 thousand gold lead before 20 minutes even.
And hey, why not keep it going? EG, they bring everybody up here into the top side. They'll take down this tier 2. That's going to be even more, or will it? This is 100 Thieves looking to make their move. Sunday's going to be way out in front. Impact, however, decides to stick around and go after the support. Going for that vulnerable target, isolating that target, and the follow-up will clean up everybody. There's another one. 2 kills for nothing. It was a 4-0 into a 3-0 into a 2-0, and EG just don't drop the ball.
How perfect is it? It would be the Evil Geniuses that have the counter for Ornn all along and are actually able to implement it.
And it's Impact.
Let's
not devalue the impact factor
and
here.
he did it yesterday with Aatrox as well, so bit of a player diffy.
Yeah, I mean, they are just absolutely running away with this one. EG even looking to take the blue buff here from Abadaga. Next Dragon in 15. You can expect them to try to grab that out as Danny able to pull it through with the E. Secures the blue. They're going to TP down to bot with Jojo, so they want to play for this Dragon. Just continue stacking the objectives. You're 7K up.
Mid lane might turn into something, though. FBI tries to get away. Immediately has to flash. Danny's ready for the flash. Follow. He goes up into the air. He stays alive. Inspired's after the AD carry. The ward is in the brush. Does he have the dunk? 2 points.
Doesn't even need to flash. Holds on to it straight to Baron. You can see them. Pings over towards it. They're running there right now. Forget the Dragon.
Okay.
They want Baron. They want this game.
100 Thieves, though. The objective bounties are up. So when you're in a losing position like this and you're getting steamrolled, you have to look at capitalizing on whatever you can. Dragon neutral objective bounties start at a base of 500. Very, very valuable here. If they can rush down this Dragon, it's not just a Dragon in the game. Yes, it's not going to stack up to Soul, but it is a big amount of gold as well for that bounty. That's why these things were implemented into the game.
It's something, but the Baron's worth much more. The Baron buff is so much power. And EG just extending that gold lead, 8.2K, 21 minutes in. The carries are fed, and EG are on the march here. Going to look to clean out these last outer towers, just the mid-tier 2, and extend that gold lead even further.
This one is so one-sided. You have to bet that EG will be able to finish it out and dare 100 Thieves to either reverse sweep them or get on the plane and go home. This squad is playing so well this weekend.
QSS picked up here by Closer to be able to get out of the Mordekaiser ultimate. So one person now does have an answer. Ornn trying to scale up. They need to buy time. And the price of time right now is at an all-time high.
Inflation's hitting everything, man. Evil geniuses are the ones charging the dollars here. Abbedagga goes over the wall for a little bit of that pseudo poke we're talking about, but he's the one who ends up worse for wear. Someday walks through the base gate trying to take out the control ward, as Abbedagga just cannot go anywhere near these guys. He's already below half HP. Vulcan goes to the Flash Zenith Blade, but he ain't gonna find nothing with it just yet. The whole team joins the party bus, and EG is ready to go for more. They find the kill onto the Ornn, and they're gonna buy time with the stasis. FBI's in trouble, and the dunk comes down again. Abbedagga barely stays alive, but EG have still not lost a man.
They were diving the Nexus towers before the inhibitor was even down. EG, they want to end right now.
Evil geniuses onto Nexus turrets, inspired backing away, just drawing some of the ire. First Nexus turret is already gone. Second Nexus turret, the thing is withering away. It's 3 Thieves versus a whole squad of geniuses, and it looks like it only goes one way. Abbedagga can't do it, and EG wins 2 games back-to-back.
They honestly look like they cannot be stopped. This is crazy from Evil Geniuses. They are just running through the entire LCS in playoffs.
And this is so much pressure now on the 100 Thieves, but we saw them pull off a reverse sweep earlier. We've seen them bounce back in these kind of situations, and they're going to need to find some answers here. Because despite taking away the Jinx, despite making EG change things up, they have the Mordekaiser answer. They have this lethality Xayah. Like, everything still was just silky smooth for EG.
100 Thieves really need to dig deep right now. They are defending champions. Clear your mind. Remove the last 2 games from your mind. Focus on the task at hand.
And we know they can do it. The reverse sweep is how they were able to knock TL into the lower bracket. 100 Thieves has been here before. But this Evil Geniuses squad, that game ended around 23 minutes with an 11,000 gold difference.
An absolute stomp, but it's not even like they all end on early game, right? You know,
No.
you have scaling, you have options to be able to play out the later stages of the game. So everything going EG's way. 100 Thieves, I think at this point you need to draft, really heavily to prioritize Closer. I just feel that is so important. Yes, he was power farming on the Graves, but again, no early game impact on this game, no early game impact in the last game on the Trundle. These champions are not set up to really dominate through ganking, and that is, I think, where 100 Thieves